Good morning, welcome back to Ecocentric. I have two beautifully prepared beds here now where the red potatoes used to be. I harvested the potatoes over several days. It was like 3 or 4 periods. The times that I harvested a batch at once, I recorded it. And so I put together this video for you. So what do they call it? Cue the video. September the 27th, I'm going to dig up the rest of these russets now. The dandelions exploded in growth here in the last couple of weeks, but the plants are pretty much dead, so I'm going to go through. I got a bed and a half left. I'm not expecting to get very much. Not much, as I said. Got some nice potatoes as far as russets go, but there's not a whole lot of them. Might be 30 pounds, which, considering that I really only had about a bed's worth of plants there, would be considered a mediocre harvest, I guess. I'll weigh it when I get in the house. 16 pounds. That's a pitiful harvest. Good morning. It's October the 5th. Quite cool this morning. I got a little extra jacket on. Last night was our lowest temperature so far this fall, 0.7 Celsius, but no sign of frost. I was out early in the morning and walked all around. This is now the deadest of our potato beds. What a mess when the potatoes die back. I think I said that last year. One of the things that is I got a red potato here. Something that I often make a mistake on is that to keep putting the compost, the mulch on, because it composts down over the summer and then you get potatoes out that are green. Now when you get these, you don't know how far the green has gone in, so I put them in anyway, and then when I cut them I'll decide on how much I need to cut out. So far no big potato, just the average size jobbies. Now here's a nice one. Another nice one. Looks like I'm going to do better with the Kennebec than I did with the russets. Wearing down already. Going to have to try sitting on the seat. Great harvest with respect to numbers. We'll have to see with respect to weight once we get it all taken up. At least this one bed. You see, I don't bury them very deep when I plant them because that makes it easier to dig them. But then you have to make sure you're keeping the mulch on to keep the tubers covered. Now we'll see if we're going down this side. And we get quite a lot of nice potatoes. So this is the second one with a hole into it. That would be sow bugs, S-O-W. I don't have a big problem with them, but I get the occasional potato that they've eaten into. There. That's one bucket load. Or bed dug. That's actually a 7-gallon bucket. So let's see how much is in it. Not as much as I wanted, as that's just under 30 pounds. You got to take off 2 pounds for the bucket. 28 pounds. But fairly well. It's October the 18th. I'm going to start off this second bed with giving you more of a close-up look. So this is the second bed of Kennebecs. They look to have grown well, actually. Just don't like wearing gloves when I'm doing this kind of thing, see? As I said in the garden tour, don't know how much of that potato I'm going to lose, but I'm going to take them all up and weigh them just like that. And I'll find out when I peel them how much of that potato I lost. Just what was right there on the surface. It's a lovely one. Thought I'd have to take off the jacket. Let's pick them up and weigh them. A measly 13 pounds. I wasn't feeling well and had to take a break. Let's try this again. So two things. I didn't plant them deep enough. I should have planted them a little bit deeper. And the other thing is I should have put on more layerings of mulch. So next year, make sure I plant them at least 4 inches deep. Well, that bed done better. Oh, most of them really nice potatoes. So it's pick 'em up and weigh 'em time. Go. 35 says 33 pounds, which is a good harvest. 30 sets, a little over a pound per set. Not going to do as well with this bed. It's a discussion we got for a later date as well. Okay, now I gotta see if I can get my hip on stuck. Stand up without being in pain. That's interesting. You learn how to do that after a while, after a few times. Better than the one beside him anyway. £15. So with the Kennebecs, I got 28 out of that bed, 33 out of that bed, so 30 per bed. Good enough. Back there was only 13 and 15. Not putting potatoes back there. Again next year I'm not putting them in there. That's going to be a shade garden, and I'm looking for shade plants. Red potatoes, we'll dig those tomorrow. We got 2 beds right here and 2 beds over there. Now, today is yesterday's tomorrow. And before I leave here, I just want to make a final note about the Kennebecs. I got 30 pounds each from the outside beds, and they were fairly big potatoes. The inside beds, I got half of that, 15 pounds each. They had just as many potatoes, but they were small. The difference between outside and inside, the main difference is the shade from the trees. The soil itself is the same. Of course, the tree roots are coming out there. So next year potatoes are not going in here. We'll discuss about the shade garden in a later video. So let's start with this bed of a lot of weeds. I'm not taking the vegetation away because, as you know, I bury the bed in vegetation afterwards. So what I want to do is take up all the vegetation, throw it out here, get the potatoes out, and throw the vegetation back on. Now that the vegetation has been removed, we can easily see that we're going to do very well with this bed. I'll take out all the potatoes that I can see, and then we'll go through it with the little hand cultivator. Now, goes to show the benefits of having hens. That's mostly bedding from the hen house, if you remember. It is in full sun, but still, that's a lot of potatoes. That's going to be more than a 5-gallon bucket full, so I'm going to see if I can fit them all in the 7-gallon bucket. Now, did I lift that completely off the ground? I'll try that again. So 53 pounds, take away 2 for the bucket, that's 51 pounds. We've gained back 21 of the 30 pounds that we didn't get out of the inside beds at the Kennebec. The potato stalks in that bed are still kind of alive, you know. But this is the 19th of October. The latest I've dug potatoes was the 20th of October, so let's get the vegetation out of this bed. You remember the big squash plants that was in this? Squash plants actually seem to help them grow rather than hinder them. So let's throw these out now. I just took this out of this little spot right here. Extremely fertile ground, worms like crazy. So you can blame it on that, I guess. But that's an awful pile of potato out of 30 square feet. And an awful lot of big ones. This is the biggest one. 2 5-gallon bucketfuls. Let's weigh them. £31 and £32. So that's 63 pounds in all. I'll have to check, but with 63 pounds out of there, that puts us still down 12 pounds to have 30 pounds out of a bed. That was because I had done such a poor harvest with the russets. We'll probably get that out of the other 2 beds over there. I want to make an extra point about this bed. Because you remember I had a big squash plant here, and there was like 3 or 4 squash plants up there. But I took, it was at least 6 good size squash out of here, so that's another 30 pounds. More than 30 pounds really, so you got 61 pounds I think it was here, and over 30, so we're well over 90 pounds of produce come from this one 3 by 10 foot bed, 30 square feet. Last year one of these beds did extremely well and the other one did okay. We'll see if the same thing happens again this year. I had some showing quite well. I don't know what the sunburn looks like with the red potatoes, I mean, like when you peel off, how much it goes into them. But there was some showing, and I did put some extra covering on some of them, but now I can see some that where it's either blown off or dug off by birds or whatever. So first thing, remove the vegetation. You see, this is another reason why these potatoes puts out such a weight. Look at how many potatoes is on this one plant. Right, and that's just the ones that's coming up with it. There's still more down in the ground. Like a ton of potatoes. Off just the one plant. So each plant is like that, and if they don't grow well, you get like 50 of these little tiny things. But when they grow well, you could get like 15 good sized potatoes off of one plant. This is with the vegetation gone. You can see how many potatoes now I'm going to have to dig. I mean, there's just the ones you see on top, and there's more down below. I knew I put chicken manure, chicken house bedding on this one. I don't remember what I did with that one over there, but the grass has certainly taken over it. I'm blaming it on the bedding from the hen house. But once again, I got a lot of potatoes. There's 3 things of interest in this bed. First one I'm going to show you is right here. That's russets. I found 3 big russet potatoes in there. Only one. There was other potatoes right beside it. So I don't know what happened with this. I guess it must have been close enough and a mouse ate into it or something. Don't know. Now down this end of the bed, I do have some canker. See that? Some of them are really bad, but for the most part, I got nice potatoes. And I don't mind this. To me, it's just a surface blemish, and I peel it off just like any other peel and go on and cook the potato. And we have another 2 buckets full. That's a smaller bucket in front there. Let's see how much that one weighs full. 25, so 23 pounds. And 35, so 33 pounds. In total, 56 pounds. So now, with what we got from this bed, technically, I only need to get 16 pounds from this bed to be on target. But we'll be well over 16 pounds. I'm going to try to, when I'm digging in there, try to get out as many of the grass rhizomes as I can. That's a horrible looking mess there right now. There's stinging nettles in this bed, so I've got to wear my gloves to get the stinging nettles out first at least. Yep, going to be lots of potatoes in this bed as well. They didn't come up as well because of all the roots of the grass and stinging nettles that's going along there. But I'm going to take them up and put them directly in a bucket out of this bed because it's got quite a mess all around the bed. So there's no clear area where I can easily toss them out and then pick them up afterwards. Well, out of this bed, I got 1 rounded up 5-gallon bucket full. And I shan't be putting that vegetation back on the bed. Right, full of stinging nettle and grass rhizomes. Well, let's see how much this one weighs. 38.5 pounds it's saying, so take off 2 pounds, right to 36.5. So we got an extra 6 out of here. We needed 16, was it? So we have 20 pounds past our target. Started out quite disappointing, eh? But in the end, I've been making beds, as you know, with the in-house bedding, and these last 4 beds done phenomenally. I reached 324 pounds, give or take a few pounds. My goal was 300, so I am quite happy, and I hope you enjoyed the video, at least found it interesting. Leave a comment, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.